Casey,
Well, Shane,
I'm as tired as I've ever been for one of these recordings.
you seem it.
No, it's ridiculous, man. Noon has become the absolute crack of dawn for me.
Up at the crack of noon.
Yeah, and it's
Hell or high water.
It's a problem. It's a problem. I don't know why it's a problem. It actually has no effect on nearly anything I do. But
You're a
today,
night owl.
Yeah, today I am seepy. Got my March from a Crag model, painted the base rim this for me morning.
And it looks good.
It is the lowest effort thing that I have done in this entire us painting competition thing. For whatever reason, one random Space Marine did not jimmy my jams quite the way it probably should have. But
There's always going to be one out there.
I suppose that you've got something for that. So tell the people, as we record this, I noticed that it is not March.
Yes, we are in early April right now. We were a little late getting our models finished, so not that big a deal. But I'll be posting those up ASAP on the Twitter and other socials. You guys are gonna go vote. Of course, we'll do it like we normally do. We do not let you know who painted which model, and then you guys go ahead and tell us, what you think is the best. I think I'm gonna give it a week this time since we're in April. We will not be doing another painting competition for some time because, like Shane said, he's tired. And, yeah, just go ahead, pop on the socials, vote which one you think is best, and in a week we will, see who won out. So hit us up.
I was looking at comments on the YouTube last night because I thought, I wonder what mean things that people say.
They were saying some mean things.
There were not many mean things, and that disappointed me. We would like you to get on there and comment bad things if you have any inclination to do so. Because participation and interaction is good.
Any interaction is good. 100%.
That's what I said.
Yeah, well, you said participation.
Yeah.
But, for those of you out there, we may have a little bit of a white noise thing, but good news for you. I have invested some money into some new equipment, and we will be improving our audio here forthwith.
The $20 mic is going to be retired again to be used by random drunks when I need an extra. It was never built for this.
Yeah.
You're going to be so classy.
Classy man. And you guys are going to love it.
We're going to have to do this for literal decades to pay for that thing.
I don't want to say you're right, but maybe.
Well, so far the total revenue has been zero. So, if you multiply zero by a number,
yeah, it's still zero.
It's still zero.
What if you divide by zero? You get the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I think the universe implodes on itself.
It's such a stupid meme. You remember those?
No.
Divide by zero. Oh gosh. Bits box.
Open the bits box.
What do you got, Shane?
March from a Crack got done,
and it looks good, folks. I'm looking at it.
I didn't love it. I don't think I like doing one-off things very often. Or it could be I haven't put my finger on it, right? It could be that I don't like when there's no game attached to the project, right? Like I can't use that one Space Marine in any kind of practical way, and I think that maybe does something to my psyche as I'm painting it.
You need a driving force.
Yeah, I think I need it. I think I need to have it have a reason to be on the back end, right?
Yeah, like you're gonna play it if you paint it.
Yeah, or somebody has to play it, maybe. Just for it to be an art piece, I don't think. Like, it's almost subconscious, my sort of lack of motivation for it in those cases. Because last night, I got the airbrush out. Oh, shout out to the homie Dallas on the airbrush, okay? Because I've been having, since I cranked the pressure up to as high as it would go.
Yeah, I remember that being the solution you were to the problems you used to
It's
have.
worked better, but it has not been perfect. I think what's going on, I don't know. So, for those of you at home, I commandeered Casey's airbrush compressor.
He asked, and I let him use it because we are partners and friends.
Yeah, but he may never get it back.
Probably not.
At this rate, it's been at my house for the better part of a year, and it's getting quite a bit of use.
It really
However,
has, yeah.
I don't think it's very good.
The compressor itself, or
Yeah,
just
the compressor itself. I don't think that it is very good. I don't know what you paid for it, but the thing that it does is I've got the pressure turned up as high as it will go. Cranked all, the turny thing is cranked all the way down, and it gets up to, it reads like 60. But when you start spraying, the pressure starts dropping. And when it kicks on and tries to recoup, it's still dropping. So what I found is if you hold the air
it's odd.
too long, it'll just lose pressure and lose pressure. And also, I think that there's something to that like change in velocity that causes even more spitting than you would get if you just had, whatever else wrong with the whole system. So I found that if I do sort of a little bit, psst, and then let it until it shuts off and gets back to full power,
Right.
then I can go psst for a second later.
I mean, that could be the issue that I was having, and what ultimately ended up with me smashing my airbrush.
Yeah, you rage quit your airbrush.
I did.
But shout out to the homie Dallas, because he mentioned that he took his airbrush and disassembled the whole thing and let it sit in the isopropyl alcohol. So I did that and a whole bunch of crud that the whole cleaning kit and everything
Just missed.
apparently missed, because it turned into like mud and came out. And it ran like a champ last night when I was working on the homie Valerie's Tree Man for her Wood Elf Blood Bowl team. We've been playing the Blood Bowl
Tree Man
at the house on the 40k Fanatics home pitch with the 40k Fanatics shield at center field.
And what's your main team on that?
Mine is the Elven Union, done up as New England Patriots with with Tom Brady, the Wood Elf Prince, slinging the pill. But
Shout out to who?
shout out to Matt's by Mars for that custom Blood Bowl pitch. He will make you one as well. It's quite good.
Thank you, Matt.
Has a lot of reference around the edges, and it's been really nice.
Reference.
Yeah, it's got reference, like a rules reference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually looked at that. And I thought that was really cool.
No, it's really good, and it makes for a nice immersive experience. But Valerie's whole Wood Elf team is done, minus the Tree Man, which I primed and then dry brushed the whole thing, and he's got a lot of lovely bark texture. And then I took dark green, and sprayed it through the airbrush, like on his bottom and around his top and some other strategic places. And then I took brown ink and just barely let the ink come out, so it was nice and transparent all over that undercoat of dry brushing. And so now it's a brown tree that sort of transitions to dark green as his roots go into the ground. And then we're going to highlight up and just edge highlight all that bark. And I think he's going to look chef's kiss, Tree Man goodness.
I'm eager to see it because you've been talking about this Tree Man quite a bit.
Yeah, the Tree Man's going to be neat. I also did
You remember that text I sent you the other day?
the Tree Man can throw people.
The Tree Man can throw players?
Yes, he can. So can the troll. So can a number of things can throw players.
Now I need a troll.
Does your team? So you've got a team now.
Yes. To thank Shane for getting that mat for us and, investing us. I got to meet him halfway. So I went out, bought myself an Orc Blood Bowl team.
Yeah, it's so tough on you to meet me halfway to buy yourself the ability to play the whole game.
Nah, it's not that tough.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
But you're my man. You did the thing. I got to do the thing too, man. It's only fair.
Well, the homie Austin got the new Gnome Blood Bowl team on pre-order, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun because it's got the little foxes and things that are running around with the ball.
Man, I love that.
And all kinds of new shenanigans too. It's got a thing where when you go to block one particular guy, he can just move, which can change the math on a block to to hurt your chances of success. So it's going to be great. I think what we'll do is a little 40k Fanatics, a league of some sort, and Everybody come over
Get
and
some
play.
people on the pitch.
Yeah, everybody come over and play the Blood Bowl. It's good. It's just good.
I'm there with bells on, baby.
I don't know. Have we recorded since Easter? We have not, right?
No, I don't think we have. No.
Okay, so Easter Sunday, as we record this, was last Sunday, and on Saturday, me and the homie Valerie had the idea that we were going to go to the Hobby Lobby and get a egg dyeing kit to do Easter eggs, right?
Oh, I wanted to do that.
Yeah, well, everybody wanted to do that. Now, we proceeded to drink whiskey and tequila on Friday night.
Oh, no.
So we woke up around 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday and had some stuff to do and did not make it to get an egg buying kit. But then,
Oh, no.
But then she had a stroke of brilliance around 4 a.m. Saturday night. She was like, why don't we do Easter-themed minis? And so we did.
Yes.
We had some of the Judge Dredd Citizen Mob to do, because there were 10 of those, and we're just slowly chipping away at them and trying out all kinds of stuff. So we put a record on the record player and added white to all the purples and greens we've got until they became light pastels and painted up those dudes. I did a
Guy with the crowbar, right?
yeah, I did a guy with a crowbar in a pink and blue striped jacket with some sort of yellow
Undershirt.
yeah, light yellow undershirt. He looks ridiculous. And she did a tie-dye kind of thing, like a tie-dye Easter psychedelic ganger. And they turned out really lovely, and it was a great idea. So maybe, you know what?
Look at those on our X, guys. They're really good.
Maybe next year we all get together at a park or something and paint Easter models.
Ooh.
You'd probably have to put on an egg hunt either before, during, or after, but
Hide the models in eggs or something.
no, we don't need to do that.
Cause yeah, don't do that. We have the risk of losing them too high. I'd have a heart attack. Already lost one model this last month.
But I think that's my bits box.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I had one more thing.
What's your one thing?
Sub-assemblies.
Ugh.
Do you do sub-assembly much?
Not anymore.
Okay, so I put together the Fistful of Dollars, I believe it's called, box of Shatterpoint, which is the one with Cad Bane and Aura Singh and a couple of bounty hunters whose names escape me. They're not on the box, but they are named in the show.
Is it Bosk? Is Bosk in there?
No, Bosk is not in there. He's in a different box that I think is forthcoming. But these are the Clone Wars cartoon bounty hunters. And so I'm putting together Cad Bane, and these are super tiny little spindly models from Atomic Mass Games. And he's got his big hat and is pulled low over his eyes, but then it occurs to me, I'm not going to be able to paint his face with his hand in the way and his hat over his eyes. So I throw his hat on a piece of poster tack down next to him and prime the whole thing.
Oh.
Then I go to zenithal him, and it occurs to me, well, I can't zenithal his hat down by his feet. His hat also includes half of his left forearm. So I thought, how am I going to do this? And I thought, what if I make his hat removable? So I took the tiniest, most infinitesimal bit of poster tack, stuck it on his head, stuck the hat on his head, zenithal the whole thing, and now I can remove the hat. His face is zenithaled, his hat is zenithaled. It all comes from the same direction. It looks great. And then I can paint his face so that I can then conceal it behind a hat.
Cad Bane is such a great character, by the way, man. I mean,
well, and that's the thing. He's too cool to just bodge it the best you can with poor reach. And also, I don't want to get all those face colors on that hat brim to then try to make it a nice chocolatey brown.
we can't wait to see what you did because, man, when you put into those specific characters, you do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I try to. Speaking of specific characters, next week, Marvel Crisis Protocol Tournament, my first one to participate in. I'm going to bring some very non-meta X-Men who so far have not ever won a match.
Oh, no.
So I don't expect them to win one.
So switching over to my bits box, which that is the perfect segue, I have recently caught up on all of X-Men 97.
The first episode was rough, wasn't it?
It was, and I gotta say, the next two were just so much drama all in one.
They were so good.
They were great, yeah, but
the-
it's you have to pay attention. It's like, what is this, a soap opera with all this drama just happening? You know, I'm having a baby. I'm a clone. Matching twins?
Spoiler
Bad guy
alert.
to nowhere? I didn't say names. I'm just saying. Like, whoa.
So
But I loved it.
the writing and the story they're telling is very smart, and it's really good. And it, in my opinion, with 3 episodes viewed, and 1 episode, in the tank because I've not seen the 4th one, but those first 3 episodes, especially episode 3, are really some of the best storytelling that I think Disney has done. Full stop. Since they've gotten X-Men and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because some of it has been real trash bag. But those have been great. But the first episode was incredible in its just
Magneto.
but just exposition was so awful.
Oh, man.
Everybody came on screen and said something to the effect of,
So
"My
great.
name's Wolverine, and I heal so good." And
Bub.
yada yada yada. It was like everybody introduce yourself to the class, which
Yep.
made no sense because I'm like, this thing is clearly made to tie in to the original
yeah.
cartoon. There are only like 60 episodes of the original cartoon.
Go ahead and watch him.
And there's not that much on Disney Plus if we're being honest. Like there's only so many times that you can watch The Lion King. So, like, who doesn't know what Cyclops is about?
Fair.
Like you clearly made this for 30-year-old people.
Yeah.
Especially by episode 3, it's quite clear
They're starting to key into
this
their
is not
demographic.
that it's not a kid show, but the amount of like base level character recap in episode 1 I felt was totally unnecessary. Like maybe they got some test audience of people that had never seen the original one, which I'm like, well, that's not.
I thought it was pretty interesting how they did it the same as the first episode in the old one, where it's just like new character, all the X-Men introduce them, save this person, and introduce themselves, and brings them into the X-Men, and I'm just like, oh, where's Jubilee? Because that was her last time, But on to my other stuff. I finished a commission for Kairos Fate Weaver, and I'm half blind now because of all of the color. Gosh, it is a workhorse.
Yeah, you only paint green.
Oh, dude. Oh, God. Yeah. Shout out to the orcs, by the way. So I've got a Blood Bowl team. I painted Kairos Fate Weaver. I've got a bunch of other ones on deck for a few more commissions. And just took the trip to the hobby store and perused the store for a little bit the other day. And just was, you can never go wrong going to the hobby store.
No, I went and got some paints yesterday. I'm trying to find a yellow that I like. I want it to be yellow.
I love painting yellow.
Period. Yellow. Not mustard, not greenish. I want it yellow like a big yellow school bus. And so I found some Citadel iteration of that. I've got a Vallejo yellow, but it is chunky. And, and if you put a bunch of water in it, it gets piecey. And I don't like either of those things.
Yeah, it's
by the time you can get it to come off the brush, it doesn't cover white. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to put 6 coats of this if I have to, but I'd rather not have to. So I'm seeking a better yellow. And I didn't say off yellow. I'm not saying dark yellow. I want it yellow.
Like a school bus.
Like a school bus.
Seatbelts, everyone.
Yeah, seatbelts. Buckle in. Strap in. Close the bits box, sir.
So, Shane, clap the hand. What are you talking about today?
Well, I don't have a top 5 list.
The viewers at home are disappointed.
I feel like people are enjoying the top 5s.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, man, I missed a whole thing in my bits box.
Oh, you did?
But it'll tie in.
Reopen the bits box.
No. keep it shut. Today, I'm going to review to you the Warhammer 40,000 Crusade book. Yes, a book review. We're a book club now. Pariah Nexus.
I'm stoked.
All
I'm
right.
excited.
So, a couple of things. One, I'm pretty new to 40K. I got in toward the end of 10th edition. ninth edition. I did not play any Crusade in ninth. Ninth, I felt was so complicated that entire Crusade section in the back of the core rules, I literally never turned to because I'm like, I cannot at this stage in my miniature hobbying life possibly handle more rules, right?
Oh yeah, ninth was way complicated. Gosh, and I as an orc player, I can preach on and on about that, but he's 100% right. The rules not only bogged you down, they did make it fun, but there was so much to keep track of.
Yeah, and so this is my first Crusade book. So I'm not going to be able to review this book relative to previous ones or other ones. I do not have the Leviathan Crusade book, which is also out for 10th edition now. But I believe that quite a few of our listeners are fairly new to the hobby. So this could be your Crusade book, first Crusade book as well. And what I intend to do is
it's a cool book.
Preach the word on how much I am loving Crusade.
Bird.
So I went to the homie Craig's house for the Spring Craig Invitational where we played a 1,000 point Crusade match. Now, what is Crusade? Crusade is taking your big war game that we love so much, armies on the battlefield, death or glory, and adding an RPG element.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's awesome. You have experience points. So,
story driven.
Here's what you do for Crusade. The basis of Crusade, and then we'll get into the Pariah Nexus book and what its Crusade setting, Crusade campaign is. But first, I'm going to tell you guys what Crusade's all about. Basic Crusade rules are available for free on Warcom. You got to scroll way down in the download section for 40k, and you can find how to make a Crusade force. And a Crusade force is a collection of units that you will use throughout the campaign. There's a limit on how many points worth of models you can get, but then as you play, you can buy more points to add to your list. So this becomes a really good way to motivate yourself to collect more things and to paint more things and to play more things, because where you start with 1,000 points, you start with a number of requisition points. If you spend them all initially, you can get 2,000 points on your list and just play 2,000 point games. I don't recommend that, but I'll get to that in a moment. When you're doing your Crusade force and as you're building it up over time and playing these missions and carrying on, you can end up with 5,000 points worth of Crusade force. That doesn't mean you play 5,000 point games. You could, but what you'll have is your whole collection all on the list to build armies out of. And what you do, and this is the part that here it is, you name all the units. They're locked in with regard to their war gear and stuff. There's ways to change it, but that's getting too far in the weeds for right now.
Would you name your Defiler?
My Defiler is named The Face because he's got that face around his
cool
cannon.
mask, yeah.
Yeah. And all of these units end up with a unit card. And there's some bookkeeping that needs to be done because they will all gain experience for participating in a battle, for killing, for every 3 units they destroy, for doing their agendas.
Kind of like a KD ratio or the stat you see on a COD game.
Well, kind of like an RPG where your guys get better, and then once they get better, they get abilities. So at the point you get 6 experience points, which can happen in your first battle to a unit, they will gain a battle trait, or a battle honor, rather, which can be a battle trait, a Crusade relic, or a weapon modification. And this is stuff like giving your unit champion of some, in my case, legionaries, precision on his weapon.
Making them fight harder, fight faster, right?
Yeah, and so you end up with, like, that dude has been through some battles, and now he holds this master-crafted weapon, right? And it does whatever it does. And if they die, they can end up with battle scars, where they're less effective in combat. And then,
which I'm more familiar with.
Yes. And then if you end up with too many battle scars, the unit is dead entirely and can never be used again, and they need to be replaced by a new green unit. The other thing, I'm quite certain that this is the case, but I don't think that your Crusade force necessarily has to be the same army.
What?
Yeah, when you go to make a list to play a battle,
Okay.
they all need to be the same army. But if you've been playing a Crusade forever and you've got a bunch of requisition points to
You
be
could
had,
get another army.
yeah, you could just start plugging in whole new units that have no experience and all that. But you could just play another army, and that all be part of your Crusade force if you wanted to.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing you can do.
Oh man.
Because why not?
I mean, yeah, because if I'm playing orcs, I don't know who I would team up with, but I think from a lore perspective, that could be pretty fun.
Well, consider
From a story perspective. I mean.
Well, consider that I play Chaos Space Marines, and they can pair with demons and knights.
Yeah.
So
you
I could
have a lot of things.
Yeah, so I could have a whole demon army worth eventually. So
Tyrannus Gene Stealer cult.
that's right. So then, what do you do with your Crusade force? Well, you play missions, and now we get to the campaigns, and this book in particular, the Pariah Nexus.
Man, I loved picking that stuff when we were playing the other day. It was pretty interesting to see that we could pick something that could be completely random, but we'd both have to really pay attention for our game to come.
Yeah, the
Throws you off.
So the Pariah Nexus setting is, well, what is a Pariah Nexus? It is a Necron-created network that is the size of galaxies, where they, seeing that chaos in the warp was a problem, attempted, this is a time infinitum ago.
About 60 billion years ago, I think.
It was either while they were fighting the old ones or just after. This is right around War in Heaven era, before the Imperium of Man was
time immemorial.
Yes, forever ago. But they built these giant obelisk-type structures on worlds across light years.
You're doing good.
And the idea was that it would trap the warp energy and hold it forever, essentially eliminating it from the galaxy. It didn't work. They ended up going to sleep before this whole thing kicked off. But what it causes, these black stone fragments, it causes the stilling, where everything within the Pariah Nexus, there is no signal that comes outside of the Nexus. And so all the various factions are driven to investigate this. What could be there? Is it valuable? Is it usable? Let's go check. And when they go check, they find that
Necrons.
the Necrons are there.
And depression.
The stilling causing all of the most hardy troops to just slow down and become still. At which point the Necrons come and chop them in half. And but the Blackstone fragments have power. They can be turned into relics, and they can be used to power things, and they
push back the warp.
Yeah, they are in fact artifacts of their own. And that is the setting for all of these battles that take place in the Pariah Nexus Crusade book. So, your goal in the Crusade, your Crusade force, when you're playing the Pariah Nexus, is to gather Blackstone fragments. You can play this thing in campaign phases, you can play it over a fixed amount of time, or you can just run it out until you get tired of it, and then move on to a whole new Crusade book. Here's the other cool thing about Crusade, folks. Your Crusade force can participate in all manner of different campaigns and crusades. So Shane's Black Legion can participate in the Leviathan Crusade next. And I will probably be getting that book because I am loving Crusade. So,
be fun.
Nuts and bolts, that's the sort of roundabout thing that you get. But what else do you get? You get the actual Crusade rules that are particular to the campaign you're playing. So this thing has got, I believe, 12 or so unique missions. And I think 3 of them are 3,000 point missions. And they're bananas. They're
We've
totally
never played
silly.
Onslaught before, have we?
We never have. But They work great at 2,000 points, and they work great at 1,000 points. And then you've got those 3,000 point missions for when you're really kicking off the sort of end game of the campaign. You can run those. It's got a little system to roll them up randomly. There are also agendas. So you don't use your Leviathan deck for secondaries or anything of that sort. Everything is in the mission. And then you've got these agendas that you pick. And those are like your secondaries. And those are things that are like more experience for units that survive that you can then assign to those guys, or extra Blackstone fragments if you do this thing. So the other day when I played Craig, I picked this established comms array, where at the beginning of the battle, he picks any objective he wants, and so he picked the one in the deployment zone.
Yeah.
Which was also on a deadly fissure that caused mortal wounds if you're standing on it.
Oh, no.
How cool does that sound?
That is pretty cool.
And at the end of the battle, I had to have control of that and a character on it.
Man,
And if I did that, I could get 4 experience points on one of those units.
Man, you're barely talking about this, and there's already so much story into just your one little game.
Oh, I know.
And I love it.
That's the thing that Crusade causes to happen, because we get so sweaty playing match play.
Mom spaghetti.
And doing this stuff. And then me and Craig, we played 1,000 points. I played my less experienced guys, because also this book has got it's got a balancing section. So if my Crusade force has a bunch of experience and yours is brand new, we can still play, because units that have battle honors that are more experienced are considered to cost a Crusade point. And so I make my list out of my Crusade force. I look at how many Crusade points they're worth, and if it's more than 5, you get a buff. And if it's more than 10, you get another one. And so on and so on. So new players or people that have played less battles can still play with people that have played more battles. And even though my Crusade force...
That was even the case with our game.
That's right. And even though my Crusade force has 2,400 points worth, and yours says maybe only has 1,000, we can still play, because we just say we're going to play 1,000, and then I've got to find 1,000 that's not going to give you a huge advantage. So I end up playing new guys on my list. So I end up with a suboptimal list, not my first choice of guys, but then that becomes its own balancing act. Anyway, we played Black Legion versus Death Guard, and it was great. We ended up flipping sides of the board. He was in my deployment zone, scoring points at the end, and I was in his, scoring points at the end. The other thing it creates,
That's hilarious.
The other thing it creates, too, is the last little turn and a half, I was sort of hiding from him, playing keep away, because I didn't want any more of my dudes to die.
Oh.
Except where that is a really obnoxious game state in match play, keep away, or if I don't make this 6-inch advance, the game is over. In Crusade, it doesn't matter, because you're playing for something else. You're playing to get your guys leveled up. You're playing for, if this guy just stands here, I'm going to get a Blackstone fragment. That's valuable for the future, because you can spend them on things. There's a whole
it's really cool
3-tiered faction mechanic within the Pariah Nexus for the various factions' goals for the whole campaign. There are things where those factions can team up and pool their Blackstone fragment resources to essentially upgrade their base, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is awesome. It's really fun. The missions are bananas.
You hunted my orcs down like dogs for what they did to you that one episode, or that one battle we did. And I got to say, it didn't feel like it does with the match play, like you said, where you're just, trying on the back foot, trying to do as much as you can. This is more like, ooh, I kind of want to just make my units like better, have fun, or achieve a goal individually and not die.
Yeah, there's a part of you don't want Lord Stanley to get killed.
Yeah,
because he's Lord Stanley.
You've got Master P.
Yeah, that's my Chaos Lord and my Master of Possession.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It's just look. Here's the thing, guys, because there is a contingent in this site. I only play match play. I don't know. Nobody plays Crusade. That kind of thing. Look, man, these toys are expensive, and we've got a lot of them.
You're gonna use them.
You might as well use them. Sometimes it doesn't feel great to get all sweaty, does it?
Mom spaghetti.
Maybe your army is not the hotness right now. Well, try them out in Crusade. They may work really well. Um, you know, you get to name your Votan dudes.
My orc Wa is called Wa Fast Daka, and I love that name so much.
Yeah, we got to play some more Crusade missions. The missions are great. The rules are neat. And here's the other thing: if you are one of the lucky few that have a codex, in the back of your codex are Crusade rules specific to your faction. Now, I've only seen the Tyranid one, but what's neat about that is it supersedes the requisition strategies, and it supersedes some of the agendas, I believe, is what it does. And you get relics specific to your faction. You get battle traits specific to your faction. So you're still in the Pariah Nexus, still trying to get Blackstone fragments, but when your guys level up, it either
Orcs get orc stuff, chaos
yeah,
get chaos stuff.
Yeah, well, and I think it either totally supersedes what's in the Crusade book, or it adds to. You may have a, you may have a choice. I'm not sure. I'll check closer when I get my codex. Hurry up, GW.
Orc Codex, right around the bend, people. It is the end of March. It should be here by now. Come on!
And here's the other thing. I encourage everybody to get on the Warcom, download those Crusade rules, and make yourself a little 3-ring binder of a Crusade force, and go out and play some Crusade with anybody that's got a Crusade book, because it won't go bad.
It's a lot of fun.
It's just another way to throw some dudes on the table, because, come on, guys, you guys have to be getting tired of grabbing secondaries. Because
yeah.
you know what there's none of in that I've seen in Pariah Nexus. There's no investigate signal.
Yep. I will say, the different. You can do a little bit of storytelling with the match play, but it's very, very, very short-lived, very coincidental. The dice rolls telling stories and maybe something crazy happening, and you and your buddy just going off about it. But in Crusade, it just feels like the whole game is just a story, and it's so much fun because every unit has its own story. Every unit has its battle wounds and battle honors and stuff like that, like you were saying, from previous games, and you just keep them going and going and going.
And also, the book, let's not forget that this is actually a book.
It's a dope-looking book.
The book looks dope. It's got tons of art. It's got a lot of lore. I've not read all the lore. I mean, the lore is probably 2/3 of the book. And then there's a big section of just model pictures, like the GW team just putting everything on the table with ridiculous terrain made, and it's just a photo gallery of that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff is neat. Like you feel like you're buying a thing. I mean, GW books are expensive, and you can feel about that however you want.
So are video games, people.
Yeah, it costs as much as a video game, but I've played 6 Crusade missions already.
Yeah. So how many hours is that?
It's been a bunch.
Yeah, so just as much as you would be playing Fallout 4, the new hot video game.
So I encourage everybody to go get it, and I intend to find the Leviathan book, because I think that more Crusade, more better.
I agree.
And then at some point, they'll put out another one, and Shane's Black Legion will crusade again.
So, Shane, how many skulls?
So, being it's the first Crusade book that I've ever had or seen, it's tough to give it a rating. But amount of fun I'm having, it's a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's
pretty high for you.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just saying that right here, I would say that the match play is probably 9 out of 10, and it would be 10 out of 10 if it weren't for those couple of secondaries that are just not fun.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those. Deploy teleport Homer, investigate signal, defend stronghold.
You turn one every freaking time.
They're just a bit meh. But this, as he holds up the Crusade book, this always feels like you're in a fight in all the missions that I've played, and I've not played all of them.
You're
However,
in the war zone.
yeah, and all the stuff you're doing does feel like you're in it and you're doing something for a reason. Whereas engaging on all fronts as a secondary does not necessarily always feel like it's done with any purpose. You know?
Yes.
Because engage on all fronts is just I got to put stuff in board quarters. And so
You feel like you're a slave to the objective.
Well, I mean,
when you're with your thought processes, this is with the Crusade. It's more of a battlefield adaptation.
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing: are these Crusade are these Crusade missions balanced? Probably not. You score on every command phase, so on turn 1 you're scoring primary, which is weird to people. And I've started reminding everyone, like, hey, this scores every turn. And they're like, oh, let me, can I move this unit in my deployment? I'm like, sure. Because everybody's used to playing match play where the primary doesn't start scoring until the second turn for balance purposes. But, it's not always about that either. Because here's another thing. You can get your head kicked in a Pariah Nexus game and still end up with more Blackstone fragments than the winner.
So you'll be like ahead even though you lost.
You'll be ahead even though you lost. Yeah, it's paradoxical as that may be. I've got another main topic that I'm going to try to hit real fast in like 4 minutes.
Okay, shoot. Go, I'm timing you.
The new Age of Sigmar 4th edition is coming out, and they've done a really interesting thing. They're coming out with articles on Warcom about it.
And Skaven.
And they're explaining the sort of concepts. And one of the concepts that really jumped out at me is that they're doing what they're calling a modular rule set, where you can play the game with the core rules, and then there's going to be another chunk of rules that you can just attach to it that then becomes the whole game. And I think that this is a really clever way to maintain a little bit of that, let's call it crippling complexity that, say, 9th edition had, that 3rd edition Age of Sigmar does have, but also making the game still function and create an onboarding process. All right? Because 10th edition, it has been said that with the exclusion of the psychic phase and with free war gear and no real army composition rules, that it's a little bit simplified, which was their idea. Simplified, not simple, right? However, there's no way around it that it is simpler, which I think is a net positive. However, Age of Sigmar being that shooting is not such a big thing and it's mainly just a melee fighting game, you don't want that to be too simple, because it will become a Napoleonic era or ancient era tabletop game, which is not, its scope wants to be beyond that. And so I think that that's a really clever way that they're going to put quite a bit of that complexity and also make it so that if you've never played a tabletop game, but for whatever reason you think Stormcast Eternals are cool, you're actually going to be able to get your head around this pretty easy. And I think that is brilliant. And I would suspect that we have that to look forward to in 11th edition 40k, or possibly some major expansion of current 40k, where could we have a Psychic Awakening again? And just say, look, if you want it, we can tack on this other chunk. That could be cool.
And that leads us to our Space Marine Fun Fact of the day. Space Marine Fun Fact, or Space Marine segment of the day. Did you know that Space Wolves like to hotbox each other with their farts? We'll see you later, guys.